Eric Patrick Clapton was born March 30th, 1945, in Ripley, Surrey, England. Clapton's mother, Patricia Molly Clapton, was only 16 years old at the time of his birth. His father, Edward Walter Fryer, was a 24-year-old Canadian soldier stationed in the United Kingdom during World War II. Fryer returned to Canada, where he was already married to another woman before Clapton's birth. As a single teenage mother, Patricia Clapton was unprepared to raise a child on her own, so her mother and stepfather, Rose and Jack Clapp, raised Clapton as their own. Although they never legally adopted him, Clapton grew up under the impression that his grandparents were his parents and that his mother was his older sister. Clapton's last name comes from his grandfather, Patricia's father, Reginald Cecil Clapton. Around the age of 8, Clapton discovered the earth-shattering truth that the people he believed were his parents were actually his grandparents, and that the woman he considered his older sister was in fact his mother. The young Clapton, until then a good student and well-liked boy, grew sullen and reserved and lost all motivation to do his schoolwork. Clapton failed the important 11+ exams that determine admission to secondary school. However, he showed a high aptitude for art, so at the age of 13, he enrolled in the art branch of the Holyfield Rhodes School. By that time, 1958, rock and roll had exploded onto the British music scene. For his 13th birthday, Clapton asked for a guitar. He received a cheap, German-made Hoyer, and finding the steel-stringed guitar difficult and painful to play, he soon set it aside. At the age of 16, he gained acceptance into the Kingston College of Art on a 1-year probation. Finished with school in 1963, Clapton started hanging around the West End of London and trying to break into the music industry as a guitarist. That year, he joined his first band, the Roosters, but they broke up after only a few months. Next, he joined the pop-oriented Casey Jones and the Engineers, but left the band after just a few weeks. At this point, not yet making a living off his music, Clapton worked as a laborer at construction sites to make ends meet. Later in 1965, Clapton joined the blues band John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, the next year recording an album called The Blues Breakers with Eric Clapton, which established his reputation as one of the great guitarists of the age. The album, which included songs such as What Did I Say and Ramblin' on My Mind, is widely considered among the greatest blues albums of all time. Clapton's miraculous guitar playing on the album also inspired his most flattering nickname, God, popularized by a bit of graffiti on the wall of a London tube station reading, "Clapton is God." Despite the record's success, Clapton soon left the Blues Breakers as well. A few months later, he teamed up with bassist Jack Bruce and drummer Ginger Baker to form the rock trio Cream. Performing highly original takes on blues classics such as Crossroads and Spoonful, as well as modern blues tracks like Sunshine of Your Love and White Room, Clapton pushed the boundaries of blues guitar. On the strength of 3 well-received albums, Fresh Cream, 1966, Disraeli Gears, 1967, and Wheels of Fire, 1968, as well as extensive touring in the United States, Cream achieved international superstar status. Yet they too broke up after 2 final concerts at London's Royal Albert Hall, citing clashing egos as the cause. After the breakup of Cream, Clapton formed yet another band, Blind Faith, but the group broke up after only 1 album and a disastrous American tour. Then, in 1970, he formed Derek and the Dominoes and went on to compose and record one of the seminal albums of rock history, Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. A concept album about unrequited love, Clapton wrote Layla to express his desperate affection for Pattie Boyd, the wife of the Beatles' George Harrison. The album was critically acclaimed, but a commercial failure, and in its aftermath, a depressed and lonely Clapton deteriorated into 3 years of heroin addiction. Clapton finally kicked his drug habit and re-emerged onto the music scene in 1973 with 2 concerts at London's Rainbow Theatre, organized by his friend Pete Townshend of The Who. Despite his great musical productivity during these years, Clapton's personal life remained in woeful disarray. In 1979, 5 years after her divorce from George Harrison, Pattie Boyd finally did marry Clapton. However, by this time, Clapton had simply replaced his heroin addiction with alcoholism, and his drinking placed a constant strain on their relationship. He was an unfaithful husband and conceived 2 children with other women during their marriage. In 1987, with the help of the 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, Clapton finally quit drinking and has remained sober ever since. Being sober for the first time in his adult life allowed Clapton to achieve the kind of personal happiness he had never known before. In 1998, he founded the Crossroads Center, a drug and alcohol rehabilitation facility, and in 2002, he married Melia McKennery. Together they have 3 daughters, Julie Rose, Ella May, and Sophie. Clapton, who published his autobiography in 2007, was ranked the 2nd greatest guitarist of all time by Rolling Stone in 2015. An 18-time Grammy Award winner and the only triple inductee of the Rock and Roll of Fame, as a member of the Yardbirds, as a member of Cream, and as a solo artist, he continued to record music and tour through his 60s while also performing charity work.